KnivesHeaven is a new platform for both knife industry and knife community. On this platform, independent content creators can publish their knife-related content, such as YouTube videos, written articles, photos, reviews, podcasts, and so on. Companies can publish their content, for example, new product announcements, press releases, collaborations. Thank you very much for being our guest in the first episode of Facts and Rumors of KnivesHeaven. We're very glad to have you in our show. Maybe you can introduce yourself and your company.
Great, thank you. Thank you for having us. I'm Jonathan Wagner. I'm the Vice President of Brand at SOG or SOG, both are acceptable. And with me, we have Keith Paxton, General Manager of International Sales, who's based in France. So he heads up our European and especially, but also all international. And SOG, for those that don't know, we're nearly a 35-year-old company, started by Spencer Fraser in 1986. He wanted to recreate the Bowie knife carried by members of the US Special Forces Group, Maccabee SOG, and that business just grew and grew into what it is today, where we do a variety of knives and tools and other preparedness gear.
Okay, thank you very much. Unfortunately, we cannot ignore the COVID-19 pandemic going around. So let's get that out of the way. How does this affect you and SOG?
There's been slight disruptions to our supply chain, but really it's only disrupted us in terms of a number of weeks with our projects. But for the most part, we're still operational. We're all working, even though it's from home. Okay. We're still developing new products. We're still shipping. It's about as normal as it can be at this moment. For the most part, it hasn't been hugely impactful to the business. We've seen some changes in how people purchase items, but beyond that, it hasn't been a huge disruption to what we are doing at the moment.
Is SOG intending to use the new developed XR locking system for all folding knives in the future? In what respect does the XR locking system differ from the Access locking system? And what about the Arc lock? Is this about to be discontinued? A lot of questions in one question.
That's okay. I'll try and unpack that. Where it makes sense, we'll absolutely use the XR lock. We believe in it. We've put a lot of innovation and resources into developing it, and we feel it's a superior lock to our Arc lock. And it's not going to be the only way that we apply a locking mechanism to a folding device, but it's going to be certainly one that we consider where appropriate. So part of our whole brand philosophy is to apply the right level of technology and design and other elements to each product. So it's suited specifically and precisely to those use needs. So where the XR lock makes sense, we'll absolutely apply it. However, you'll also see frame locks and other types of locking mechanisms on those items. What makes the XR lock different to the Arc lock? Well, the XR lock is actually an evolution of the XR lock. It's the next generation of our patented Arc locking system, but it takes elements from the Arc lock that we've continued to develop over the years, and as well as other technologies that we have, such as the tooth lock, and then elements from crossbar locks. So the end result is the XR lock, trying to take a lot of those elements to develop something new, and hopefully, or at least we see, it has many advancements in terms of function, operation, and retention forces. So we developed it so you can use a kick with it, which you can't with Arc lock type systems and other crossbar lock systems that exist out there. It's enhanced so that the suckback spring prevents it from accidentally being opened when dropped or in the pocket. So there's that additional safety element. One of the greatest things that we're most proud of is it works straight out of the box without a required wear-in period. So you'll find with a lot of crossbar locks and other types of mechanical locks that they require a wear-in for it to operate smoothly. But with the XR lock, one of the benefits is that as soon as you get it out of the box, it's ready to go. I think that I kind of answered what about the arc lock?
I think you answered everything. Yes. Okay. Very comprehensive. Okay. Thank you very much. And for me, again, it's totally clear. So let's summarize. Besides the XR lock, which will be used in a lot of mainstream products of SOG, you still continue with, for example, liner locks or frame locks.
Mhm.
But the XR lock is...
It's our primary technology.
Exactly. That's what I was looking for. Hi Jim, welcome in Facts and Rumors from the knife industry from KnivesHeaven. We really appreciate you being in our show. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Hank. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be on the show. I'm glad that you reached out to me. I was really excited about doing this. Everybody knows I love to talk.
Yes, you like to talk. That's why you were #1 on my list.
Okay.
So, Jim, you have been a YouTube personality in the knife scene for several years.
Yeah, I started back in 2012, actually.
And I think you appeal to a certain sub-community on YouTube. Which part of the YouTube knife community do you see as your audience?
So the reason I started back in 2012 is I had a lot of time on my hands. The career that I had, I only worked 3 days a week for 2 or 3 hours at a time. So I had a lot of time on my hands, and I was dealing with a lot of insomnia. So I would be up till all times of the night, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. And a lot of the time I would waste would be watching YouTube. And I got into, obviously everybody knows I got heavy into knives and high-end custom knives in particular. And I was watching guys like Tough Thumbs, Colonel Jeff, a lot of those guys, and it inspired me. I sat there and went, I've got a lot of cool knives that are either one of a kind or extremely rare, only a few have been made. So people may not have had a chance to see those, and I'd like to review those. And when you go to the big review channels, the ones that have crazy numbers, they tend to spread out a lot in production knives that appeal to a very large audience, and then they'll do other stuff, guns and motorcycles. Nothing fancy would be a good example of that.
Yeah.
And I kind of went, I have a lot of interests, but what I want to share and what I want to talk about with people are the higher end, more exclusive kind of custom knives. So that's kind of where I started. I didn't want to do what everybody else was doing. Back in the time when I started, there were guys that were doing this view, and they would hold up a knife and they would talk about it and demonstrate it. And I didn't want the reviews to be about me. Actually, for probably 5 years, nobody had ever even seen my face on my YouTube channel.
Yep.
So I did a first person where we could get in really close on the knife and show it in HD and try to talk about the things that I appreciated about the knives and what other people might appreciate. And it kind of evolved from there. I didn't expect it to do anything. I thought it was just going to help me pass some time, and I could talk about a few of the things that I enjoyed talking about. And then at one point, it just kind of exploded, and people started looking to me to talk about makers that they were interested in or maybe had never heard of, that had maybe a long wait time. They weren't sure if they wanted to put that kind of investment in time or money into a knife, and they would hear me talk about it, let's say a Kirby Lambert, and they would go, wow, that knife looks amazing. He's showing it to us in detail, in HD. I don't even have to listen to him to see that this is a really good knife, which was another reason I did that format. You could put it on mute and just watch what I was displaying, and you could look for yourself and see what you liked and what you didn't like. And if you chose to turn on the audio and listen to me, I would give you my opinions on the things that I looked for in a knife. We all experience a growth in the things that we enjoy in our hobbies. Obviously, now that I've turned into a knife maker, I have a slightly different perspective. But even as I was just growing as a collector and learning more about the industry and how things worked and how things were priced and what things were appropriate and inappropriate as far as wait times and communication and deposits and prepay and all those things, I began to form more and more opinions and voice them more often. And I found for quite a while there that I would get more views on like my knives and wine rants and just general rants where I'd have 20 different knives in front of me and I'm drinking either scotch or wine. and getting drunker and drunker as the episode was going on. I was seeing a lot of people tuning into that because I was talking about a lot of the things that they were thinking about and they were discussing with their friends, and they wanted to get a different perspective on it. And I enjoyed giving that. And throughout the years, I've had a chance to, in a way, kind of put the collector's voice in the maker's ear.
Welcome, Alan. Thanks for making time to be our VIP guest in our first episode of Facts and Rumors for KnivesHeaven.com. Because of the 10th anniversary in 2020 of the Hogue knife division and the both of you working together, I think this is a memorable interview for our viewers. First of all, I hope you are doing well, Alan.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. I'm doing very, very well.
It's good to see you in good health. I have some questions regarding Hogue, your collaboration with Hogue, and your own work. Okay, some questions regarding Hogue. How important is the knife division of Hogue right now for the company? Because it started more or less coincidentally, if I know my history well.
Hogue has always done projects. They did this one project called the Avenger. They will do weightlifting machines, just various different projects. And so the knife division actually started off as just another project, you know.
Okay.
It has grown to be quite substantial, you know, when they're purchasing dedicated machines to allocate just for this particular project, it's become quite large. So it is an integrated part of Hogue right now.
Yeah, but what to my understanding, because of the knife division and the machines, they also now do other products, which they didn't before.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes, correct. Because of the knives, Hogue actually invested in a textile business. Okay, they actually own a textile business where they can make nylon webbing, gear, bags, whatever. That started with the FO1 nylon sheath. You know,
exactly.
We could not find a manufacturer that could make it to our standards with all the features. So we basically bought a manufacturer.
Okay.
And so it kept on growing from there, you know. And so we just kept on adding different SKUs like the bags, and that was part of the knives, you know.
So my next question already partially answered. What did it bring the company what otherwise not would have happened, if this is the case, of course?
The knives? I think the knives brought a different view to the company. Okay. Before the knives, they were strictly a accessory company. So if you look at all the products they made, it was accessories to something that already existed. Pistol grips, rifle stocks, accessories. The knives is actually their first end product, okay? Standalone end product. And so it gave them a different exposure. Instead of just an accessory, now they're making products. And so that opened up a lot of doors into other avenues like military, law enforcement, where maybe they wouldn't have had the chance of getting contacts. Now they do.